All right, Thursday night, we got Jake Hutchinson in the house, sitting in for Dieter. Dieter was covering Warriors-Lakers. Big Warrior win on the road, but we're talking a lot of Niners. Join us. The Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Let's go. Off and running Thursday night. Krug Show. Sorry if we're late, and we always are a little bit. Fashionably late, as they say. Hope everybody's having a great night. Thursday night, April the 3rd. March came, March went. Wow, that was quick. And we're in April. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera, I say. They're there. Open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Thanks to my good friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And Claw Daddy Arcades. You see their sign right above Jake's head there. They're a great follow on IG at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. They've got 3 locations down in Southern California, Fresno, Modesto as well in the central part of California. And they got a brand new arcade coming in the Bay Area. Once again, follow him on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades and find a location, an arcade near you. And we're always about arcades. So thanks to all of them for being proud sponsors of the Krug Show. And the links are in the description below. We're off and running on a Thursday night. Jake, good to see you, man. What does your hat say? What's that hat?
So this is our sicko. This is for those of you who don't subscribe to us on the Dieter and Hutch channel. Go ahead and subscribe. This is our guy. This is our mascot. He is our sicko. Yeah, he sort of encompasses all we are, which is deranged, locked in, but a little deranged. And so he's sort of our logo for everything.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It's good to see you. And we've had you on the show, but it was probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
I think well before the 49ers had their offseason.
Their big month of March free agent splash. All the splash.
That's right.
We haven't talked about all the moves. We titled the stream NFL Exec, should the Niners trust their ability to draft for the future? And
probably
not. This is Mike Sando asked NFL executives around the league about each team in the NFC's moves during free agency. And when it came time to talk about the Niners, the Niners, I guess if you look at the money, had the biggest differential in money during free agency, losing $104.4 million. One executive was quoted as saying, it's easy to spend the way they've spent when you're in the NFC Championship. It's not easy when you're 6-11 and the roster's getting older and now you have to pay Brock Purdy. You aren't just tacking on 50 to 60 million to that roster, but they haven't gone after their core. So, we all know they let about 20 guys go. The only guy that they really are going to miss is Greenlaw, in my opinion.
I'm with you.
But everybody, has their own thoughts. We'll share that. We'll get yours in a second. But then there's another quote here, Jake, from another executive. He says they're putting a lot of trust in their ability to draft. But also, not surprisingly, they're like, well, we can get Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown, turn them into starters. So why keep paying all these other guys coming off a 6-win season? They're keeping the true difference makers and letting go of those they feel were overpaid now or resting on their laurels. That's kind of a harsh way to say it. What do you think? The Niners, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Tim Kawakami said it straight out the other day in an SF Standard article. He said the Niners are not contenders for the Super Bowl this year, just flat out. But he also is not a real believer in the draft as much as maybe guys like you and I are. You are writing a draft guide.
Yes.
I'm a former scout who follows the draft pretty intently. And I do believe that it is an equation. It's like, a combination lock, you know, 32, 17, 11. And it's like, if you get that
Right.
exact number, you open the lock. Well, it's the same thing. If in the NFL, I mean, you got 3 picks, you could go 3 for 3 and get 3 Hall of Famers if you did it right.
Yeah.
Gale
What?
Sayers and Dick Butkus were both drafted by the Chicago Bears in the 1965 draft. I mean, they both were Hall of Famers. They were the 2 best players of their era, and they went to the same team in the same draft. So all I'm saying is it's possible to have a monster draft and to, it would take, though, a monster draft for the 49ers to be a Super Bowl contender. They do have 11 picks. I kind of think it's a good draft. I've seen Dieter say he thinks it's a bad draft. We could debate that.
Yeah.
But overall, they are putting either they're, I haven't heard Shanahan or Lynch say it, but I bet you anything, Jake, that if we get the chance to talk to them, they're not going to be like, yeah, this is a transition year. We're not going to be in it. They're going to be like, hey, yeah, nothing's changed here. We're going to try to win the Super Bowl. We think we can do it. That's what they're going to say. So should we all laugh at that? Or is, somebody's right and somebody's wrong. Either the Niners are wrong that they're not contenders whenever they come around to saying that they are, and they're going to, or Kawakami's wrong in saying that they are absolutely not contenders before they've drafted one single player in a weekend where they're almost sure to add 20 players between draft picks and undrafted college free agents.
Yeah.
Where are you on this? I mean, the one thing I will say, this NFL executive says they're putting a lot of trust in their ability to draft. No S. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's clear, huh?
That's where I'm coming from. Is it's a lot of trust. You got one draft right last year, and it does feel like they're like, all right, well, we're just gonna nail it, right? We got 11 picks. We're just gonna absolutely nail this draft. Well, what about your 3 drafts before that? You completely whiffed. You basically got your job saved by Brock Purdy because the Trey Lance situation. If they had not found Brock Purdy, I can't fathom a world in which John Lynch is still the GM of this team. Now they found studs early on where they found Fred Warner and George Kittle in middle and late rounds, and they built around that, and they got Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, and they've had a lot of great picks early on, but they really struggled, I think, to replace those middle tier guys. Like you look at linebacker, like really you're going to go in with D Winters? Like I'm not a believer that D Winters is an actual answer next to Fred Warner because he shows flashes, but he's injured 90% of the time. Your defensive line is just Nick Bosa and whatever you think Yetur Gross-Matos can give you. It's not a serious defensive line. You have so many needs to replace that even if you nail it, I think it's pretty hard to say you're going to still be an elite contender. Now, can they compete for the playoffs with this roster and getting a few draft picks right? Absolutely. I think the NFC is still wide open. I think there's a lot that they can do, and they still have, again, some of those core pieces. But I'm sort of in the situation and the belief a little bit with Kawakami. I think he's a little bit harsh on it, but I think they are betting everything on getting this draft right. And their strategy of sort of resetting, which they didn't have to eat all the dead money. Some people will tell you they did. They didn't have to do that. They chose to do that. And they're setting up for, I think, a better situation in 2026. But they're betting on coaching. I think they're saying, all right, we got Robert Saleh back. We're going to pay him top of market to be the most expensive defensive coordinator on the market. We're going to draft, and we're just going to develop all this talent. But if they're going to sit here and say, yeah, we can compete for a Super Bowl, I think they're going to try. But I think it'd be delusional to expect them to have the same standards because they just don't have anywhere near the same proven guys. They don't have the depth at key positions. And betting that you're going to hit all of that in a rookie class, which I don't think is that great. There are a lot of players I like, but it gets dicey in like the late second round. There's a lot of landmines you got to avoid. It's a tightrope walk.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, let's talk about it concretely here. The defense, we won't even get to that for a second, right? Because that's a mess right now. That's a total mess. As far as the special teams, they brought in Brant Boyer. They've added some special teams players. The big decision is the kicker. They've stated they're going to go get a veteran kicker, Nick Folk, maybe. We'll see. It sounds like they're going to sign a veteran kicker after the draft to compete with Jake Moody. So let's just say it's a Nick Folk, and you've got, Wishnowsky, and you got a new coordinator on special teams. You got a few new special teams players. Okay, so maybe between the new coordinator, a couple of these players, let's just say special teams is going to be improved. Let's just say, it can't be worse, really. I mean, it's only one.
Well,
it's going to be
improved.
Surprised. I know, seriously. But it really almost can't be worse. So, okay, so let's just say for the conversation, special teams is dramatically improved. Okay, so they got one area improved. Offensively, what do they need? They have Purdy. They have Kittle. They still have Trent. And they have Pearsall. Okay. What has to happen on offense is Christian McCaffrey has to return to being Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey is back as Christian McCaffrey, that's the first thing that they need. In their this is going to take it's going to be like a 4-team parlay for the Niners to win to go to the Super Bowl. One of them is Christian McCaffrey has to return to being Christian McCaffrey. That's one. Special teams has to be way better. That's two.
Of the way the season ended is at least these old guys that have been through the ringer avoided the playoffs, right? And they got a long layoff. So if you're trying to be optimistic, these guys have at least had time off to rest their, very old legs at least in NFL years.
So special teams is one, McCaffrey's two. I would say there's no chance in hell, and I'm not mad about it, but I'm just want to be very clear about my point on this. There's no chance in hell the 49ers could ever win a Super Bowl with Cowing, Pearsall, and JJ being their top three receivers. So it can't happen. So you have to – so out of this draft, in addition, you have to find a dynamic receiver – that can help you because you don't
at least a rotational guy who can serve a role as a pass catcher because Cowing couldn't do that last year for you.
Right. Couldn't get on the field. And JJ's a year older and 1 year away from free agency, by the way. And the other guys are gone or hurt. So you badly need a receiver. And I think you badly need a running back if you have doubts about McCaffrey getting through the season. And it's such an awesome running back draft. You'd be a fool not to get a running back, probably two in this draft. It's such a great running back draft. So that's what you need on offense. And I would say you need at least one good offensive lineman out of the draft that can either compete at left guard or be your future at right tackle. You need one good offensive lineman. Yep. So you need a good offensive lineman. You need a receiver. You need a running back.
You could definitely use a tight end, although the tight end class is not my favorite.
I actually like the tight end class, and I'll say I think you need a tight end too. So you need at least 4 receiver, tight end, running back, offensive linemen. You need at least 4 offensive players out of this draft. And then on defense,
you could draft just defensive tackles on defense. And you can defend it. You can draft defense, 4 of them.
You need to draft 3 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, and
linebacker, safety,
and then 2
corner.
linebackers, and at least 1 safety, and at least 1 corner, maybe 2 corners. I mean, they need a lot. Okay, so I mean, they're not trying to win, or they're banking on just an all-time draft.
Yeah, I think I can't fathom them going into a season just saying, all right, we're going to punt it, which is why I do find it intriguing that, like, all right, so you are going to compete. I guess they would probably argue that, all right, we have these pieces of Warner and Kittle and all these guys, and so we can do anything if we have them. I would say you're threatening to waste their best years of their career by not being serious about how you build out your roster. And I'm not saying that they had to sign Greenlaw back. There are injury concerns, and there were plenty of other free agents that were cheap and didn't cost compensatory picks that you could have at least added another defensive lineman. You could have at least added an extra linebacker. Not to say that, just adding guys for the sake of it is necessary, but they didn't add even some basic rotational pieces that would have made this draft a little bit easier on them. And maybe they'll do that later in the cycle, but they didn't do much to help them from having to draft for need.
I'm going to share the screen. I get asked a lot, hey, who do you think they ought to go for and this and that? And I've done some mocks and this and that. Let's just isolate day 1 and day 2, okay?
Yep.
And just the first 2 days. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. To me, this is a reasonable, gettable, doable, and picturable 49er first 2 days of the draft. Here it is. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So
not a Kenneth Grant guy myself.
Okay, so at 11, I've got Kenneth Grant. I like Kenneth Grant. I mean, if you like Walter Nolan, I could go Walter Nolan, but to me, you got to go defensive tackle. What I like about Kenneth Grant is he hasn't even begun to get it going. Like he's, right now he's behind the other guy. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
He's behind Mason Graham right now, but yeah, a couple sneezes there. But Grant has got so much. I think he's going to be easily the better player. I like him a lot.
I disagree.
He's really durable. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what I like. You tell me what you don't like. I like the fact that this guy is, I think, totally indestructible. This is the biggest, strongest guy on the front. He's had a clean bill of health. He's 340 pounds, but moves like a man who's 270, 280 pounds. He's that right there. I understand right now he's a one technique. He's playing next to the other guy who's all over the place. The other guy's a wrestler, leverage monster. He looks like he's 35 years old. Plays like he's 35 years old. This guy has some highlight plays, and then he has some awful plays. I realize where he just stands up out of his stance, doesn't do anything, and it's like, what's he doing?
Right.
And I get that. But to me, these are young players. This is all about coaching them up. Defensive line is such a technique-rich position. This guy's just getting by on ass. He's just getting by on the fact that he's 6'6", 330. He's huge. He's huge, but he's fast. And what I love about this guy is that, unlike a lot, like Mozzie Smith was at the same school, but I hated Mozzie in the draft just because Mozzie was a workout warrior who didn't actually come off anything. He didn't come off blocks. He's strong, but he didn't play to the strength. He was fast, but he didn't play to the quickness. I mean, Grant, on the other hand, will show you that speed. And I thought there was times where his motor just revved. And to me, I also am a real believer in who plays big when it matters. And what I mean by that is I put extra credence in the Ohio State-Michigan game. Do you play big in that game or do you not? And it's like I've been doing this for a long time. I can remember Ricky Dudley in that game, just balls just ricocheting off of him. I don't know if I've ever told you that story, but I was watching film with my buddy who worked for the Raiders, and I was over there watching film with him, and the old man came in, and this is like 3 to 4 weeks before the draft in that year, and we were watching guys, and we were talking. He asked me about Ricky Dudley because we were watching Ricky Dudley, and I said to him, "Oh, he can't play at all. I saw him against Michigan in the biggest game of the year. Balls just ricocheted off him. He was terrible." Like 10 days later, the Raiders drafted that guy, in the first round. And I had said to Mr. Davis in front of my buddy, "Man, I really don't like this guy." So, I mean, it's hilarious that Al Davis, he loved traits. He loved speed. And he loves rare human beings. He's talking about rare human beings. And he loved Ricky Dudley because he was a rare human being. Kenneth Grant would be an Al Davis favorite too, because he also was a rare human being. I know what you're saying, though. There are some bad, like Walter Nolan, I think also takes a lot of plays off. But
there's some questions there for sure.
But he's got a little bit more fluidity, and can rush from all these different spots. There's people that believe that Grant might only be a nose. I'm just not one of them. I think he's got way more ability. I think he can play
Yeah.
on multiple positions, and I definitely think that if you're the modern day NFL is everybody's got to be a pass rusher, and the linebackers are all going to be 220, 225. So you got to protect them by having bigger, wider bodies up front to keep those offensive linemen from climbing to the second level and picking off your fast linebackers. So that's the way I want to build this thing. I want to build this thing with behemoths up front who occupy and also have speed to rush the passer, and that's Grant.
I don't disagree with that. And listen, I see what you're talking about with Grant. When you see it, you see it. He absolutely pops off the tape when it works.
Yeah.
But to me, there's such questionable pad level and some contact strength issues. Like when he gets hands on him, he gets totally washed out at times.
Yeah.
And his back is turned to the play. Like, on half of the run plays I see. I just have so many question marks. To me, he's like the ultimate high ceiling, low floor player. Right, where he could be Javon Kinlaw or he could be Chris Jones, right? Like there's a huge way that could go. But I also, like, for me, Kenneth Grant, the whole thing is he's unpolished, he needs time to develop. I would have liked to see him, and I know we were talking about it, I'd like to see him test better. Like, he only had 22 bench reps. He did okay in the broad jump, which is like kind of how the 49ers decide explosiveness, and he was decidedly mediocre there. And then he was like okay in the agility testing. He did well in the 10-yard split, but like if you're going to be a guy who's unpolished, who is large, and again, I see it, I see the upside. I want him to be like a really rare athlete. And he's got some traits that are really rare. He's got great size, but I want to see it a little bit more. And if he's not going to, be in the 90th percentile of athletes when he's unpolished, I just have too question marks to take him at 11. If you were to trade down, acquire more picks, and then say, all right, we're going to take Kenneth Grant at 18 or something, or 17. I think the Bengals picking up their second rounder and a trade down to 17 is an option. If you were to do that, again, he's still not my selection. I like a lot of the guys in like maybe round 2 or round 3 a little bit more. But I would understand that. I just don't think at 11 there's too many question marks for me, especially for a team that basically did the same thing with Javon Kinlaw and totally whiffed.
Okay, so you're putting an emphasis on the bench. What did you say he benched? How many times? 22?
22, which is, on a scale of the RAS scale, it's not. Oh no, it's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but sometimes you'll see receivers do that though.
Right. I'm just saying I would have liked to see a guy who's going to be that big test a little bit better.
Okay, so what if he did it 36 times? Would that be better?
That would impress me a little bit. It would make me feel a little bit better. When there's a lot of question marks, I just like to have less questions.
You know who did it 36 times?
Who was that?
Desmond Watson.
Oh my God, that boy is enormous. You want to talk about beef?
Desmond Watson, the Florida Gators star defensive tackle. Well, I don't know if star, but he's 6'6", 464-pound defensive tackle. At Florida's pro day, he clocked 5.93 in the 40.
Awesome.
But he benched 225 36 times.
Yeah,
36 times.
If for anybody that hasn't seen him, this is the largest man I've ever seen play football. It's insane.
Think about this. He's 100 pounds. I mean, they listed William the Refrigerator Perry at 6'3", 325. He was probably closer to 6'3", 365.
Right.
This guy's 100 pounds heavier than that. He's 100 pounds heavier than the fridge, at least. That is saying. Think about that.
It's crazy seeing him on the football field.
Okay, so here's the thing. People take, they're going to draft Tez Johnson. He weighs 150 pounds. I've seen teams that have multiple kickers. This kicker and that kicker. Why wouldn't you have this guy? Let's just say you were in the NFC East and they're talking about abolishing the tush push, but right now they've tabled it. So let's just say we get a whole nother year of the tush push, and the Eagles are the Super Bowl champion, and you want to combat the tush push.
You're just putting him in. You're just throwing him in there.
I'm just saying, he's your tush push defenser. He's your goal. Forget tush push even. He's just on your goal line D.
This is honestly one of my favorite takes I've ever heard from you, and I kind of love it. Like, I wouldn't spend a draft pick on him because he's a ridiculous player, and I don't think he has a real role. But
if 36 reps of 225 tells you he's not just some slug.
Right.
This guy, you don't move 225 36 times because you're fat.
Yeah, if you want to just put him literally as a pure nose on only rundowns and get him off the field and just say you're not going to run the tush push, I kind of love that. See what happens.
Or just as a you're almost like encouraging somebody to run wide. You're like basically saying, we dare you to run wide because we're going to put an island in the middle of the field.
Right.
And we're going to force you to run wide. I mean, heck, everybody's talking about this and that. I think it's time for the Niners to think outside the box. I think I would agree. This is the year to draft Willie Lampkin and put him at fullback. This is the year. This is the year to. This is the year to get an extra 7th round pick, or as soon as the draft's over, call Desmond Watson and say, "Hey, we want you in camp." Yeah, all 464 pounds of you. And could you imagine if you had, I mean, this guy's big and I mean he's the biggest guy there's ever been.
Right.
So
yeah. I don't think
he's going to do. I mean, think about it this way. We're not asking him to, go play sideline to sideline. He's not Navarro Bowman. It's like, hey, all you got to do is come up out of your stance. You bench 225 36 times. You're strong as hell. Just come out of your stance and push forward. That's it. Just come out of your stance and push forward, and then just, you know what? I don't even want you to run. You just be.
Right. You're just using him as sacrificing him on the field. You're saying,
Desmond, just be.
Just stand there.
Can you be just out of your stance and just 6'6", 464 pounds? Hey, Cam Jurgens, I'm throwing you back. It's Cam Jurgens. It's Cam Jurgens, 305 pounds against Desmond Watson, 464 pounds. No more Hurts tush push. Get this guy. Guy.
Listen, I love it. I would love to see him in camp, and I'd love to see that in a preseason game and just see what happens. I don't think he's an NFL player, but go for it. He's hilariously large. Why not?
Willie Lampkin, by the way, is Mel Kiper did a whole breakdown this week. I'm gonna film it off my TV, do a video. I'm gonna break all kinds of YouTube laws probably in the process, but I've got to show. Mel Kiper took my guy Willie Lampkin, and on his show with Field Yates was like telling me that or saying to everybody basically. I felt like he was saying it to me. That Mac Brown says that Willie is his favorite player of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. He's shorter than I am.
Man. He was undefeated championship wrestler, and he's got longer reach than that guy Zabel from North Dakota State, who's 6'5", who was like everybody's favorite offensive lineman at the combine. Willie Lampkin has a longer reach than Gray Zabel. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, I see him get kind of tossed around a little bit at times, But
you don't like Willie Lampkin? He's Kiper's favorite, man.
Certainly not as much as you do. I don't think anyone likes Willie Lampkin as much as you do.
You know what? I thought that was the case. Matt Miller mocked Willie Lampkin to the Niners. So I sent him a note. I'm like, Matt, I love your Willie Lampkin to the Niners. What did he send back? He sent back a note here. Let me read this to you. This is classic. Classic Matt Miller. Who this is what he said. He said, me too. Lampkin is my draft crush. There you go. Matt Miller says Lampkin's his draft crush. Jay, come aboard.
Listen,
come aboard the Willie Lampkin.
I'm not opposed, but like to me, I can't possibly draft him before day 3. And
no. He's day 3. Yeah, no. Day 3.
Late day 3.
I'm thinking 6th round.
Okay, sure, fine, absolutely. Then I'm on board. I thought you were talking about him round 3 or round 4. I was gonna have to talk you off the ledge. That's round 6 for Willie Lampkin. Sure, absolutely. He's fun. He's a good story. He's got the leverage battle. I think he gets pushed around, but sure, take a shot on him.
Okay, so the other question is most of the people when I put this out on Twitter, Kenneth Grant, Travion Henderson, Charles Grant, Olufemi Oladejo. Why did I come up with these 4 guys? Okay, one, the Niners need badly to go defensive tackle. So whether it's Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant, some people like Derek Harmon. I don't because he's not as good against the run. I could go Nolan. I could go Grant. I could even wait on this pick and go with somebody else later. I like Ty Robinson. I like Omar Norman Lott. I like several of the defensive tackles in this draft. But Grant to me is unique because I think he's indestructible. And I think and as I said, I think my plan is to go with undersized linebackers and oversized defensive linemen to try to keep those linebackers free. But then I put Travion Henderson to the Niners in round 2.
Love him. Love him. He's my number 2
people
back.
Were like, I love your list, but there's no chance in hell that the Niners are going running back with Travion Henderson in round 2. And I totally understand that notion. But let me just say this. Matt Millen went wide receiver, took 3 dogs with fleas. And then a couple years later, the Lions are faced with Megatron. And they could have easily said, well, we're not going to go wide receiver again. And they would have passed on Megatron. Yeah. So this idea that you can just be like, well, we've drafted this position in the past week. No. That's the dumbest way to evaluate this. Look at these things totally as separate entities. Do not compare drafts from the year. It's so
and Larry, one thing I would say is that second round is a minefield. Like at 43,
but there's also lots of great players.
Totally. It's a lot of upside. It's a lot of total width. And to me, I don't necessarily know if taking a running back at 43 is the right call, given it's a deep running back class and you've got other areas that are more pressing needs. But I will say, if you are convicted on a player, they have elite athletic testing numbers like Travion Henderson and the tape to back it up. He's a guy that's like perfect for their system. Again, I have him number 2 on my running back board. Like, I get it. I don't think
these guys, these 4 picks here are not necessarily who I want, even though I like them. I'm really trying to guess what I think they're going to do. Here's why, Jake, I think Travion's their guy. I was looking at the fumble numbers the other day. Jaden Blue has fumbled 9 times in his career.
Yeah.
There's backs who have fumbled like 15 times. Travion Henderson has fumbled.
My guy Bashal Tutton, I like him, but he fumbles a ton.
Yeah, and Travion Henderson's fumbled 1 time in his career. So if you said to me, give me the traits of a Kyle Shanahan running back, I mean, heck, the one thing that I can honestly say at this point is I know the hell out of Kyle Shanahan. I mean, I really do. I've been covering this team the entire time he's been here. I got a pretty good idea. I mean, he probably knows my tendencies, but I also know his. You know what I mean? And here's his tendencies. He doesn't want to take running backs who don't have speed for the most part. He likes running backs with speed. Even if they're undersized, he likes Mostert. He likes McCaffrey. He likes speed in his running backs. That's one. He loves Elijah Mitchell. Why? Because he doesn't fumble. He never fumbles. So you can trust him late in games. And then Bobby T. You got to remember, the Niners have Bobby T. So you're not getting on the field with Bobby T if you dance in the backfield. You got to hit the hole now, like right now. And you're not getting on the field if you don't block. Yep. And Travion Henderson is right there with Taj Brooks, according to the scouts that I've talked to, as the best blocking back in this draft. So I'm looking at Travion Henderson's numbers. Only running back this year in college football to hit these marks. 7 yards or more per carry, 1,000 rushing yards, 250 plus receiving yards. His 145 rush attempts were the least by a player who cleared that 1,000-yard mark. He's 5'10", 207, a little small, but 4.43 speed.
He doesn't play small.
Yeah, he doesn't play small either, but 92nd percentile. He's the same size as Emmitt Smith. I mean, really. I mean,
right.
We want to talk about. I mean, was Emmitt Smith small? I mean, I guess, but I mean, he was Emmitt Smith. But this guy is. I mean, I'm guessing. I'm just guessing, Jake, because if there's lots of great running backs. If you told me they loved, I don't know, DJ Giddens or RJ Harvey or Kyle Monangai, or I wouldn't be like, what? No way. I'm just saying. What I know about Shanahan, he loves speed. He loves guys that don't fumble, guys who can catch, and that's this guy, and guys who can block. You got to be able to catch. You got to have speed. You can't fumble. And TreVeyon Henderson checks every box. So I think TreVeyon Henderson, I expect him to be there in the second round. I think there's high likelihood of that. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll go offensive line there, and
I don't think they'll go running back at 43. But also, like, if they were gonna go for a running back at 43, I think it would be TreVeyon. I do think he, in terms of decisiveness, like a lot of people like Amari Hampton, and I'm not against him, but he is like a little bit more patient, and then also doesn't have the same vision. Like he does do a lot of, he cuts inside, he takes it down the middle, and he runs into contact a lot more. Whereas TreVeyon is like, he's going to bounce it outside, and he's going to do a lot of what the 49ers like, and he's just incredibly decisive. So, yeah, I see the TreVeyon to the 49ers. Like, if it's there, if their guys are gone, or if they just say, we're really convicted, we don't know what we're going to get from McCaffrey. We like Gorendo, but who knows if he's healthy. I could see it. I think it's too much to spend when you have McCaffrey and Gorendo. But again, the second round is filled with landmines, so take a guy you believe in.
And then the Charles Grant thing, I know they had a workout with him the other day. I just, to me, he moves incredibly well. He's a little bit undersized. That's not what they care about. He has really, really long arms, and he likes to get after it. He's got kind of good nastiness. I like Charles Grant as a prospect, and I personally like Emory Jones from LSU, and that's but a lot of people feel like Emory can't play offensive tackle down the road, that he's going to have to play guard. I don't agree with that at all. I think he's got a frame to put on 20 pounds. I think he's got great long arms and very athletic, and I love that kid. I think Emory Jones is going to take off in the NFL. That's who I would take probably in the second round. Instead of TreVeyon, is probably Emory Jones. But I think they're going to go Charles Grant. And then Tony Pauline predicted, a month ago, that the Niners were going to take Oladejo, and he said in round 2.
I love him.
I do too, but I don't think they're going to take him in round 2, but I think they will take him in round. They've got 2 picks in round 3. I think he'll be there in round 3, and I think they'll get him in round 3.
I think he's got Rams written all over him, like a guy that's like, oh, this guy's like a pretty good prospect, and then turns into like a reliably great edge rusher for the Rams. I really like Femi. I think he's got a lot of athletic traits. There's a lot for him to learn, and there's already a lot to like in his foundation. He's pretty strong, and you watch him at the Senior Bowl. He's just got a variety of ways to attack you. He can go through you. He can bend around, and he's raw, and the motor is there. Like, to me, when a guy is raw, it's like, do they want it? Like, do they want to go through you? Do they have the physicality to? And are they committed? And like, he has all of that. I really like Femi. He's one of my favorite guys in this class. So yeah, if they got him at 100, I think that'd be an excellent pick.
Yeah, no question. All right, we're off and running. Jake's in the house. We're having a good time here. No Dieter tonight. People going, where's Dieter? Where's Dieter? Somebody's like, oh, best show of the week, Krug and Dieter. Dieter is a loser. No. Dieter.
He is.
I kicked Dieter out of here, and I said, don't come back. No. Dieter, I think, was covering Warriors, Lakers tonight. Yeah. And, so Jake's doing the good Lord's work and filling in. But Jake Jake and I go way back, and we can chop it up for hours. I mean, literally hours, and we kind of have during training camp. We got this one too. God Bless America says you guys know Larry's watching Warriors game right now. Yeah, well, of course I was watching the Warrior game there. And Niner Goat says, Krug, how are you choosing your draft interviews? All studs, man. We've just been reaching out to guys that we want to have on the show. And obviously the guys I like are the guys that have, are guys that are pretty good football players. But I'm reaching out to a lot of the guys the Niners have met with just to see, if we can get them on. And Niners have shown a propensity to pick off of the guys they've met with list in the past. So I like the content. I to be completely honest, I like the content. I like talking to these guys. I like finding out about, their dreams and how they see the NFL and how they see their position. And sometimes it's fun to ask guys about other guys. I was asking Eugene Asante the other day. I'm like, hey man, because he, in an interview, said he wanted that his player that he admired most was Patrick Willis. And so I'm like, whoa, man, how old were you when Patrick Willis was playing? You must have been a young pup. And he's like, I was. And he laughed. But he's like, yeah, I met Bowman too. And he's like, and so I started thinking about Bowman and Willis, right? And then I started thinking about Fred and Dre. And I'm like, Eugene, if the Niners were to draft you and you could have one linebacker in this draft class to come to the Niners with you, because I think there's a chance they're going to draft two. They could draft their next tandem of great linebackers here. The one thing that's pretty clear is that Kyle Shanahan really believes in Robert Saleh's ability to not just coach up defensive players, but to handpick them. And he did a good job of that in New York, and he did a good job here. I do think Bryce Huff could be coming back here with Robert Saleh. Look for that on draft day, the Eagles defensive end. But I think Robert Saleh is going to be entrusted with picking a lot of these defensive players. So I asked Eugene, who's the guy in this draft? If you could come in here and play with one other linebacker. And he's like, oh, man, that's a great question. So he thought about it, and he went with Demetrius Knight.
Oh,
from,
yeah, baby.
South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And Demetrius Knight is also one of my favorite players. So now that's kind of what I'm rooting for now that Eugene wants that. Could you imagine the Niners with Demetrius Knight and Eugene Asante? You could probably get Asante in the 5th round, probably have to use a 3rd or 4th on Demetrius Knight.
It might be a 2nd. It's 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's really good.
So Knight, like, it goes back to I interviewed Fred Warner one-on-one before the start of the season last year, and I was asking about some of the rule changes and just sort of his philosophy on playing linebacker. And one thing he said that sort of stuck with me is, they keep trying to change the rules to play in linebacker. They keep trying to make the game a little bit softer, and you have to play with violence. You have to find ways to bring physicality because the game has to be played in a certain way. It has to be played with a certain level of violence. And whenever I look at linebackers, I think about Greenlaw, and I think about, do these guys have the murder in their eyes? Like, do they really have it in them? Do they want to run through a brick wall on every single play? And one thing about Demetrius Knight, like, I definitely have questions about his coverage ability, some sort of lateral quickness, but downhill, I don't know if there's a better run filler in this draft at linebacker than Demetrius Knight. That guy is incredibly physical. He's super strong. He's fast. He's shot out of a cannon. You watch him against Milroe. I have never seen anybody trigger downhill and attack Jalen Milroe like I saw with Demetrius Knight. It genuinely, if you go back and watch that film, it's astounding. So yeah, Demetrius Knight, he's got my vote.
El Camilo Dorado. Warriors beat the Lakers, Larry. Can we get 300 likes? It's not my job to like, but please do hit like and subscribe. I don't say that enough, but hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, it just helps the algorithm. More people find us in the whole algorithm. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell every time I go live, you'll get a little ding saying that Krug's going live. Don't miss it. And then if that annoys you, you could always stop hitting that bell. But please hit the notification bell. Please subscribe. We've got, I think, 57,000 subscribers right now, and it's growing, but we'd love to have more. So thank you, El Camilo Dorado, for reminding me that we need to get more likes and more subs. Thank you. All right. Couple things I want to get to here. And this is one thing I found that I thought was kind of fun. We could do together here. This is, have you ever gone to one of these things? This is a thing. It says 25 prospects were diamonds in the rough.
All of them.
according to Seth Trachtman, whoever that is.
Oh,
okay?
yeah, Mr. Trachtman.
So, guys, do you guys want to know who Seth Trachtman thinks are the 25 prospects in the NFL draft who are diamonds in the rough? Something tells me Jackson Dart's one of them.
Oh, God.
Okay, so let me see.
By the way, spelling your name Jackson with an X, some of these millennial parents need to tone it down a little bit.
So there is this article. I'm going to share the screen, and we can play this game. Let's see if I can just find it. There it is. Oh, hey, look at that. I found it. Okay, so here it is. 25 prospects who are diamonds in the rough by Seth Trachtman. Do you want to find out who are the diamonds in the rough in the NFL draft together?
Sure.
Let's
go for it,
Let's
Larry.
see how many we actually agree with. And Jake's doing his own draft guide. I know a lot of the prospects, not all of them though. I will not say that when I did this for a living, I knew everybody. Now I just see what I see. So that's all. Now I'm something like Popeye. Yeah. I am who I am, and that's who I am. All right, here we go. Pat Bryant, wide receiver, Illinois. Is he a diamond in the rough?
I watched him at the East West Shrine Bowl, and there were some moments, but there were also some moments that had me saying no. But I remember him being a sort of longer receiver who had some contested catch ability. There was something there, but I wouldn't go so far to call him a diamond in the rough.
4'6" receiver, 4.61. He had 1,000, just short of 1,000 yards rushing last season. Rushing? No, it has to be receiving. Amazing 18.2 yards per catch and 10 touchdowns. He is strong. I will say that. He is strong. He's a strong receiver. I don't see special, though. I definitely don't see special.
Neither do I.
Okay, that's an ad. This one. Luther Burden.
How is he a diamond in the rough?
How's he a diamond in the rough? He's
Luther Burden's the shiftiest player in this draft.
First of all, I saw a video the other day. Greg Cosell thinks that this is the best deep threat in the draft. This guy didn't have a great year this year, I'll say that. But you know what? I love this player.
Mizzou had a rough year. Brady Cook was hurt. He was like playing through pain. Their whole offense looked out of sync. I mean, he looked a little good. He's so good. I mean, he is my favorite receiver at the top of the class.
If the Niners traded back from 11 into the 20s and got a bunch of extra picks, it would be okay with me if they started their draft with this guy, because I love.
That's Luther exactly Burden. How I see it. I would trade back, and if you were going to get him, I'd trade back to do it.
Yeah. You're not taking him at 11, but I mean, I'll say this. I think he's a star. I really do. I think Luther Burden's really good. This was a 5-star guy coming out of high school. I mean, you don't understand. People were like, thousands of people were moved to tears when this guy chose Missouri over Alabama and Georgia. Yeah. I mean, it was like a major happening in the football world. It's like Luther Burden went to Missouri. What? It was like, what? I mean, I'm not even joking, Jake. I mean, it was like, it was big news. So this guy's great. I love this guy. You can't hit this guy and intimidate him. He's a tough kid from East St. Louis, Missouri, and he's a good soul too. He's a good guy. He gives back.
Loyal to Mizzou too. He could have left and gone for more NIL or just dipped out. Absolutely could have left and was loyal.
Love Luther Burden, but you can't take him at 11. But if you traded back to 22 and you got like 3 extra picks and you want to start your draft by taking Luther Burden, I got no problem with that. And I'd be endorsing that fully. Get great players. He's one of them. Jackson Dart, diamond in the rough or not? What do you think?
No. Here's what I think about Jackson Dart. Every time I watched Ole Miss's defense, I got so angry at Jackson Dart, the fact that they were not in the college football playoff. And the way he threw some of those games away, especially was at Florida, just that absolute disaster class. Listen, I shouldn't have anything against any of these kids, but it makes me mad just how annoying Jackson Dart was. And people talk of his traits. I don't think the traits are as good as advertised. And I just don't think he sees the field very well. He's a great runner. He's got some cool, nifty arm talent. But like Ole Miss should have been in the CFP, and they blew it. And Jackson Dart was a huge part of that. And I can't unsee what I saw.
Yeah. Sometimes it's you see a guy And sometimes you're like, it's the quarterback's making the receivers. I think the receivers made the quarterback. I like Juice Wells. I like Jordan Watkins as a day 3 wide receiver sleeper. And I really like Trey Harris a
Yeah, me
lot.
too.
So, I mean, you were talking about 3 receivers there on one team. Not to mention, they had Ulysses Bentley the fourth running the rock. And I don't know. I mean, to me, Dart, I think has got enough. He's got a good arm.
Yep.
It's pretty lively. I could see him having, some good games, but I would say he's not special. I would say, he might have a David Carr type or a Derek Carr kind of a
Yeah,
career.
maybe. Yeah.
Not a David Carr career,
A
but a
little bit
Derek.
of Zach Wilson vibes there. We'll see.
Yeah. Trevor Etienne.
Okay,
I think
I see it.
Trevor Etienne is really, really quick.
I
Really
agree.
quick.
And
When this guy puts
my,
his foot in the ground and goes, there's very few guys that are as quick as this guy. I
and as a
love his
receiver,
explosiveness. He's very explosive.
I like him a lot, Larry. He's quick in the first 10 yards that really matter, and he's got like sort of the smaller frame where it's tough to get eyes on him, tough to get a hand on him. And I think he's a really good receiving option. There's some concerns about him, didn't have a lot of production, but to me he's like a round 4 guy at this point. And I think honestly he's like, I'm not going to like actually fully compare anyone to Christian McCaffrey 1-to-1, but I see a little bit of those traits where it's quick. It's not the home run hitting long speed, but it's the immediate short burst, short area quickness, and the route craft that I think is really dynamic.
Game recognizes game. Eugene Asante was asked, give me a special back that you faced, and he spit out Trevor Etienne. Says he's really, really tough. Okay. Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers was a 5-star coming out of Southlake, which is a wealthy suburb of Dallas. He was a 5-star guy, and he did have a very good showing at his last passing day. This guy's got arm talent, man. Now, he hasn't done it at Texas the way I wanted to see it done. And I didn't like what I saw at the combine, to be completely honest. I thought he looked fidgety and nervous, and but the arm talent is there. I mean, it's there. And yet he really didn't show it at the combine. So I'm kind of out on Quinn Ewers. I mean, he was a 5-star guy. If he's going to be a stud, he's going to be a stud for somebody else's team, because I don't believe in him.
Yeah, he's a winger to make cool sidearm throws, good accuracy, a nice touch when everything's all working. But the second stuff, starts to fall apart. He's messy.
Harold Fannin Jr., tight end, Bowling Green, one of the most prolific players in college football this year. 117 catches, 1,500 plus yards. A little shorter than you want, and he didn't test very well. Like if you looked at his 40 time, this guy ran 4.71, which is, that wasn't bad for a tight end 20 years ago, but 4.71 right now is kind of, that's kind of a pedestrian time. But man, this guy was productive. This guy's the most productive tight end, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Fannin Jr.?
Listen, I watched him.
How could he be a diamond in the rough, by the way? He's one of the best players in all of college football.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him on tape. I really, really did. And listen, the testing wasn't terrible, but it was like for a guy like
7.
Right, but for a guy who's undersized, you want him to be in that elite range and feel a little bit better about him. I think he is super shifty. He's great against man coverage. I think he was only behind Tyler Warren in terms of beating man coverage. I think he can rumble and run and do a lot of nifty things. I think he is like a better blocker than he gets credit for, but the size is a concern. And it's like, if you're going to draft him in the second round, there's quite a few questions there that he doesn't answer that clearly. And so to me, I'd rather go with someone like Jalen Conyers, who's a domineering blocker, who's an elite athlete, who I can't fathom why Texas Tech didn't have more involved.
Yeah, I love Jalen Conyers, man. He's big time. He is a
But I
big time
still
player.
like
He was
Fanning.
good at ASU too, and he's 260 pounds. He's a
Yeah,
receiver. He's a hard guy to bring down, man. I mean, that is not an easy guy to tackle. And I think Conyers is both. He's both a receiver and a blocker. I like Conyers a lot,
I'm
a
with you.
lot. Um, the other guy, Eugene Sante, was talking up that I also love a lot, and I think he's a major sleeper at tight end, is Rivaldo Fairweather from Auburn.
Mm-mm.
Huge, long arms, hasn't played a lot of college football, but a great body for the game. Good block, strong, but also raw as a receiver, but has talent. All right, here's another one. Here's Ferguson. This is Ferguson for the Ducks.
Yeah.
Terrence Ferguson. What do you think?
So Ferguson, I can't quit him. Listen, like he's not really a great player right now, but I do think he's a guy that in 3 years could be he could actually be a dominant tight end in this league. I think as a blocker, he needs a lot of work. Needs a little bit of weight. Needs to work on his hand placement, his base. When he gets his hands on people, he can drive, but his technique is pretty sloppy. Right now, he's a move tight end. He's like kind of a Mike Gesicki, but a little bit more physical than Gesicki because Gesicki's pretty terrible as a blocker. He's basically a large wide receiver. Ferguson is one of the best. He's probably the best run after catch tight end aside from Tyler Warren in this class. I just think the size is really enticing. The way he moves against zone is really enticing. Again, if you want a tight end to be well-rounded day one, he's not going to be that. I think he's going to take time to become a well-rounded tight end, but I cannot quit the athleticism and what he can do with the ball in his hands. And I think he's going to develop for someone really well, but there are a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I mean he was productive. And he had one of the best workouts in Mobile for sure, or
Yeah.
in India for sure. 4.6, 340, good time for him there. This guy I love, DJ Giddens. Giddens, it says put together a strong resume, 2,500 yards rushing the last 2 years. What I like about this guy is just explosive, full speed jump cuts where it's like you're right there, you're getting them, and then you're 4 yards away because he had this explosive lateral jump cut and just kept rolling. This guy's lean and mean and nasty. This guy's gonna be a great NFL back. He's so explosive. He's got great body lean, but he's got that next gear. I'm a huge DJ Giddens guy.
I'm with you. Listen, Larry, the tape again, Colorado's defense is kind of a joke, but I have not seen more dominant tape from any player at any position in this draft class than I saw from DJ Giddens against Colorado. He destroyed Colorado. He made Shiloh Sanders look like an absolute joke. The way he cuts and his feel for navigating space, it's kind of like a surfer. It's like he's riding the waves. Like he's got a real feel there. And like he's a bigger guy, he can take contact, and all of a sudden, like you don't even necessarily think he's a 4-4 guy, but he kind of is. I think he's RB5 in this class because the top four is kind of set. I think Giddens is right after them.
I think he's high round 3.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean he's I love him too. I think he's terrific. Mike Green, edge rusher, Marshall. Now this is a guy that I don't think he's a diamond in the rough.
No,
but because I think
you can't call him a diamond in the rough.
He destroyed Connerly, the Oregon offensive lineman, in a viral moment at the combine, which was the viral moment of the week. He also, was an incredible productive player, 17 sacks, and he runs a great 40 time, and he's got a nasty spin move. The problem I have with this guy is really twofold. One, he's small, and I think he's going to get
same size as Abdul Carter, though.
Yeah, and I've got Abdul Carter's taller.
Nope, same size.
Are they the same exact same height?
I just looked it up. Abdul Carter's 6'3", 250. Mike Green is 6'3", 251.
I gotta be honest. I'm a little concerned about Abdul Carter. I think Abdul
As
Carter.
am I.
Abdul Carter to me is a speed edge guy only, and I don't see people say he's Micah Parsons. He's not Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has so much more strength, play strength, than Abdul Carter. But Mike Green, I don't like the. I think he's going to get engulfed. Some of the moves that I've seen him make are the kind of moves that aren't going to work against NFL offensive tackles consistently. I mean, he doesn't have the kind of length to spin in the way he can't get away at that size. And then I don't like the fact that he's been, accused of assault twice. And, once, okay, twice, I'm concerned. So I'm sure every team in the league will get their NFL security, detail on all the players that have checkered past. But I mean, that has to be investigated. To me, that's kind of where I draw the line. I mean, violence against women. Some of these things are.
If that's true, because I haven't heard it reported from solid sources. I've heard people rumble about it. If any of that's true, I mean, you cross them off the board.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, that's the line. It's a rough game. They're rough guys. Guys run afoul of the law. I don't, I'm every guy who makes a mistake, and I'm not, I'm not one of these like, hey, the guy had a DUI 3 years ago and it's terrible, and that's it. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe he learned his lesson. Yeah. But violence against women is kind of where I draw the line. I'm sure there are a number of organizations that do as well, but not all, right? I mean, let's be honest about this. The NFL is different. The 49ers wouldn't touch Kareem Hunt, and yet Kansas City's like, come on.
That's one genuine. It's insane, but it's one competitive advantage the Chiefs have is that they have a very, 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 very loose moral compass. They do not really care. They have some bad guys in that building, and they will always have bad guys in that building. How is Maxwell Hairston a diamond in the rough?
This is my favorite corner maybe in the entire draft outside of Barron. I think Hairston is just an absolute lock. 4.28, great length, played in a terrific conference. This guy, if you saw him at the in Mobile, he just wants to play every rep. If you saw him in the practices at Mobile, every time anybody fell out of line and was like, hey, we need someone to go in here, he's like, I'll go. I mean, this guy loves to play. He's cocky. He's confident. He's dominant. This is an all-pro, or at least a Pro Bowl caliber corner with length and speed and tenacity. And to me, Maxwell Hairston is a great, like, if the Niners went Walter Nolan in round 1 or something like that, or Kenneth Grant in round 1, came back with a Maxwell Hairston in round 2, I'd be like, hey, they're off and running.
I'm right there with you, Larry. Like, when I look at these corners, I've got Travis Hunter 1, and then there's another group, and it's Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, who I absolutely love.
Great player.
Hairston's right there with him. Will Johnson, I actually have some questions about. Gets a little flat-footed and doesn't have a lot of like man coverage reps.
He can hurt a lot.
Some questions there, and then Barron, and then there's Benjamin Morrison slightly down just because of his size, but he's great too. I love Hairston. Him and Amos are two of my favorite corners in this class, and they're both top 5 for me.
Yeah, I mean 4.28 speed, and if you watch him on the film, he plays to it. I mean, he really does play well. Here's RJ Harvey. And
this is a diamond in the rough.
RJ Harvey. I mean, look at this: 1,844 yards from scrimmage, 25 touchdowns last year. 5'8", but he's 5'8", like 210. So he's thick. This guy doesn't give you a lot of surface area, and he can get through the hole, and this is a damn good player, man. I love this guy. If the 49ers could get RJ Harvey, I would do cartwheels. Absolute cartwheels. I think this guy is going to be really good.
I've got him behind Giddens. I've got him. I think it's at 6 as it stands right now. Like, he's an angle destroyer. Like, the size is a concern, but he carries so much more speed.
He doesn't play small at all. He can move the pile.
Plenty of strength for his size. Like, surprisingly, he can maintain contact balance and shed blockers. He's got pop to him. I really, really like him, and I think he's a a little maybe Devon A. Chain's not the right comp, but there's a little bit of that.
Somebody said Sproles, but he's more powerful than Sproles.
Yeah, he is.
He's got. I hate to say it because it sounds crazy. Nobody wants to hear this, but he kind of's got a little bit of Barry Sanders as far as scoot ability at that short size, but with some thickness and the ability to take a hit. Nobody's Barry in that. Right. Barry Sanders declared the hole, jumped out of the hole, jump in a new hole, and run for 70 yards. You know, it's like Barry Sanders did some things that nobody could ever do before or since. But this guy has got that kind of compact but yet explosive build.
Maybe he's awesome.
Alvin
Kamara. Oh, come on. Skip this. This is not a diamond in the rough.
Diamond in the rough? He won some the national champion.
What are we talking about?
Who isn't a diamond in the rough?
Who do we got next at quarterback?
Who should be next? If this guy's the diamond in the rough, then
Cam Ward?
Say Parsons. Maybe Parsons is next.
Will Howard. Okay, I like Will Howard, man.
See, I don't. I really
What don't you like about Will Howard?
I don't know. He's got good size.
That he's goofy?
I don't know. There's something. I mean, he's got good size. He's got pretty good mobility. I don't know. I liked him more at K-State. At K-State, he seemed more athletic. This year, he seemed a little thicker, not quite as athletic. He's playing on a team where both running backs are NFL Pro Bowlers and all the receivers are stars. So it's like, and the offensive line, defensive line are great. And, it's just, he's on the best team. So
what I will say is you watch some of the All-22, he is throwing some inch-perfect darts that initially you go, oh, is that a tight ball? Like, what was that? And you rewatch and you're like, that was an inch-perfect throw from Will Howard. He's got great size, like kind of a really good competitor, like plays through pain, surprisingly good touch.
Somebody compared him to Roethlisberger, but I think Roethlisberger threw better on the run.
Yeah, I think he's more like a combo of like a big, goofy Baker Mayfield, a little bit of Geno, that sort of guy. But I listen, like some of the like when he's accurate, it's pinpoint, and there's sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired. But like if you're drafting a guy where you have an established guy and you're looking for a second quarterback who's got size and can take over day one, I really like Will Howard.
Seth McLaughlin, center Ohio State. I don't know how you feel about him.
Yeah, the problem with Seth McLaughlin,
he won the Remington. He's a diamond in the rough. He won the Remington. He's the best center in the country.
And I kept watching Ohio State, and I was like, okay, this center's intriguing. And it was like McLaughlin was hurt, and I was watching their backup. So like all of my notes are on their backup and not Seth McLaughlin.
How about this guy, Jalen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State? Iowa State's got two good receivers.
He's the better wide
Higgins
receiver.
And Jalen Noel. And this guy
Noel's the better wide receiver.
Explosive. So explosive. This guy's small, but man, there's a lot to love. This would be a really nice player for Brock Purdy to have.
Yeah, but he's short, but like he's actually pretty wide, and I think he's actually 6 feet. He is one of the best route runners in the entire class. And he's a great contested catch player, a little bit like how Debo is not the tallest guy, but is a great contested catch player. He's got elite traits, great producer. I think he's the better Iowa State wide receiver.
I like them both, but I like this guy more. I agree. 80 catches, 1,100, almost 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. It's funny because Higgins had the bigger guy had also had 8 or 9 touchdowns. I mean, they really split that up. But Jalen Noel's more explosive. I don't know if I see him as a diamond in the rough, though.
Neither do I.
I see him as a good player, 3rd-round pick. James Pierce is a diamond in the rough. This guy was like the preseason All-American #1 pick in the draft last year. I mean, people thought this guy was going #1.
Yeah, it was him or Carter.
Absolutely not. This is the absolute opposite of diamond in the rough.
I guess it's a diamond in the rough in that it was supposed to be a diamond, and now he's sunk down because people have realized he's actually not that good of a player. I am not in on him at all. I think he's fast.
A crazy athlete. I mean, let's give him his athleticism. No, there aren't too many guys on the planet who are 6'5" that move like this cat can move. This guy can move.
No question.
He's got an ability. But there's also questions about his character. There's questions about his motor. The Tennessee, they play their guys in a deep rotation, so it's hard to get a good feel for his endurance.
Yeah.
Tennessee's a very difficult program to evaluate. I'm having a hard time with him and Omar Norman Lott because they both looked explosive, but then you looked at their snap count. They didn't play very many snaps compared to some of these other guys.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, you know what I mean? It was they had a different usage.
Pierce is empty calories to me. He's got zero bag. He's too light. He's too upright. Can't get off a block enough to set the edge.
Like, gonna get wheeled outside.
I see the traits. I don't see much else. I'm not in on him, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but I'm just not intrigued.
You know what's really interesting about him is that I think his best thing would be to be a defensive end in a wide nine opposite a guy like Nick Bosa, but I think he's too light for what the Niners typically like. They like guys who are 270 who set the edge. This guy's 245 and super linear. Like, if you saw him, he looks like a basketball player. I mean, he's really, really lean. But he's also, if you believe the people who analyze him, that he would be a monster in a wide nine. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Darian Porter. Now, supposedly the Niners are really interested in Darian Porter. This is another guy who's probably going in the second round. This can't be a diamond in the rough.
He is the softest corner I've watched in this entire class.
He's big though and fast, right? He's 6'4",
right?
He's got 4'3".
Listen, tested off the charts. Tested off the charts. I see him, despite all those traits, get back-footed and allow people to separate against him. He's a guy that, like, if you try and put him in press and you put him in the screen game. Remember what the 49ers did to Sauce Gardner at the start of the season last year, where they just screened Sauce and they ran right at him? Like, this guy, he's going to need to put on a lot of weight and a lot of strength, because you want to talk about Jalen Conyers. Jalen Conyers put this guy in the stands, blocking him into the sidelines while Taj Brooks ran past him. And I saw it countless times. And I know, listen, like, strength for a corner isn't the number one trait, but I saw this guy get bullied way, way, way too often. I'm not interested.
I'll defer to you. This is a player I haven't studied. Now, the 49ers have supposedly shown interest in him. But we'll see. There's also the lying season. This is an interesting corner that I really do like. Shaven Revel Jr. from ECU. He's a Pirate. Played 3 games last season. Had a knee injury. But this is a big corner who's really dominating.
Yeah.
This is a great player. This is a guy who probably would have been the 15th pick in the draft if he was healthy. And so, where do you think he goes? Is he a round 2 guy? I mean, that's going to be interesting because he's talented.
He's super talented.
This guy might be a diamond in the rough because he may fall to the 3rd round because of the injury.
I'm with you. I think he's the first guy out of my top 6 corners. He's the first guy outside of that group. I have a lot of questions about him in zone. Like, he just gives up a lot of cushion and takes, too many steps to drive on the ball when he's playing in zone, and his instincts aren't great. But you put him in press and simplify it. I really like him. He's a glider. His long speed's great, but sometimes he gets caught off balance with sort of shortcuts. So I've got some questions. The health is a concern, but in terms of, like, if he's there in round 3, that's when you'd want to take a bite of the apple. But when he was late round 1, round 2, I got too many questions.
I'm looking at this list. I don't love these guys here. This is the Purdue transfer. He was good at Purdue, 10 sack season at Purdue.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he played in around 280, but he dropped a bunch of weight for the testing and was down in the 260 range. Scorton from A&M. I think he's more productive than Shamar Stewart. Shamar's the better athlete. I got to be honest. I think I'd stay away from both of them. I'm not a huge fan of either.
I get that. I think his technique is worrisome, but he's pretty explosive in the run game, I think, right away. He can slip between some blocks, fires off the line with force, has some real strength. But there's a low floor there, and he's going to take some time to learn. But I think Scourton has some size, some bend, some strength. And if he can develop in a couple years, he's going to be a real problem. But at the right price, I don't know.
Jack Sawyer is not a diamond in the rough. I think he's stiff. I think he's really
He's
stiff.
super stiff.
I think he's a part-time stiff college rusher that people are going to be very disappointed.
Yep.
He's
Remember
got
that
good
guy
height,
that was remember the guy who was talking about him in the first round? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't know who
Oh,
PFF
that's
has
crazy.
working for them these days.
This is Carson Schlesinger, who Oladejo moved out of the way for this kid. This kid can really play. He's fast. He's productive. 136 tackles. I think this guy's really good. I'm not saying he's Luke Kuechly, but he's in that vein.
He's perfect modern linebacker. His ability to move in coverage is genuinely, it reminds you of Fred Warner. I also like their other linebacker, Kine Medrano.
Yeah.
He flies around too.
Fast.
He's a late round guy.
Cam Scatabo is a diamond in the rough. This guy's probably the most. This guy's got his own commercial. He's got like 5 commercials. This guy. I was in Scottsdale, and he's the spokesman for Lyft trucks down in the desert. So I mean, come on. I mean, Cam Scatabo. I think Cam Scatabo ran 4.65. I think he's a day 3 pick. Somebody told me the other day when I put out Travian Henderson in round 2, they're like, the Niners aren't going running back in round 2, and if they do, it's Cam Scatabo. And I'm like,
not a chance.
If they take Cam Scatabo over freaking Travion Henderson, everybody in the entire place should be fired.
Somebody said in the comments, called him Rex Burkhead. That's one of the comps I have for him.
Yeah, that's a good comp. It really is.
Yep.
Here's another guy I really don't like.
That's not a diamond in the rough, though.
I don't think I don't love this guy either, though. I don't think if you think this guy is your pass rusher, you're gonna have a rough time rushing the passer.
No, it's funny because like I saw him at Ohio State and he was like their star, but it's not quite there for me. It's like sometimes he looks like an incredible athlete, and then sometimes he looks incredibly sluggish. His hand placement's iffy. It just doesn't.
What about this guy, Princely Umamalian?
I mean,
the
I
edge
don't know
rusher.
how
He started at FSU or was it Florida, and then switched to Ole Miss.
He's got a deep bag, and I think he's a little bit stronger than people give him credit for. He looks pretty tiny on tape, but you watch him and he is a little bit stronger. And maybe the tools don't translate.
Flashy speed rusher who doesn't really play the run at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a little bit better against the run than he's given credit for. But yeah, he's a guy that, but it's like, all right, well, same thing as Abdul Carter, right? Like,
Gray Zabel,
okay,
North Dakota State. They talked this guy up so big at the All-Star game, and he's got shorter arms. He played tackle at North Dakota State. He's a center in the NFL. I think he could be a decent center in the NFL, but I don't see anything special. They talked him up all week. Oh my God, Zabel this, Zabel that. I'm like, okay, let's see what it looks like in the game. He got abused in the game. In the game, he totally got abused. He got worked all game. So I mean, I think he's he might be like one of those guys that everybody loves,
and it's tough. You're just so wary of any North Dakota State guys, Yeah.
So there you go. That was our diamond in the rough exercise. What'd you think?
I thought there were about maybe 2-3 diamonds in the rough.
Brock Purdy's agent had to be smiling this week when Jed York described him. He says, when you find somebody who's a top 10 quarterback who can help you continually win football games, you have to make that decision. And, it's funny. I mean, is the Purdy deal, we found out today when the OTAs start, is Purdy going to be there for the start of OTAs? Are the Niners going to get their quarterback signed, or is they going to have a holdout situation and Mac Jones is going to play and it's going to be this, another wasted season because Purdy doesn't sign till week 3?
I kind of bet Purdy shows up for OTAs just because he wants to be there with the guys, and that's sort of his MO. But I don't think they get a deal done during OTAs. I think it lingers late in the offseason because the 49ers seem to be obsessed with making things difficult on themselves and making everyone uncomfortable instead of just getting deals done. They're like, let's let it linger. Let's make everything uncomfortable. Let's make everything worse than it has to be in order to quote unquote win the deal, which I get it. You're paying a quarterback a ton of money. You want to get the right price, but you're not like this idea of winning is not how you should really be approaching it. You should have a cost in mind and not get into this, excuse my language, dick measuring contest over who won or who lost the deal. Get the value that you want. And if you don't, okay, that's a way to operate. That's at least good process. But the idea of winning and losing contracts is so stupid to me.
We're only less than 3 weeks away from the opening of the OTAs. The Niners are scheduled to open the offseason program April the 21st, before the draft. Will Brock Purdy's contract extension be signed?
No.
No.
No. No, I think this is going to go into the offseason and be uncomfortable.
Wow. Okay. One other thing I wanted to get to. Oh, so our friend Kyle Posey from Niners Nation did a thing the other day on draft crushes, right? Which is kind of a weird phrase, but basically, give me the player that you really like, at the position. So I did a video on this the other day, and I just was hoping we could roll through this quickly.
Go for it.
Tell me what you think. Just give me a name. I'm going to show you my sheet of my draft crushes. So basically what I did here was we go quarterback, we went draft crush, and then day 3 player that I like at that position.
Okay.
So if you could just follow along, I'll give mine and you give yours. We'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Quarterback. My draft crush is Riley Leonard. My day 3 quarterback is Peyton Thorne from Auburn.
Ooh. Great. I would say my draft crush is Will Howard. And then my day 3 guy is Max Brosmer out of Minnesota.
A lot of people, it's funny. Somebody said Kyle Shanahan likes Brosmer, and Benjamin Albright liked that. So that's interesting. I wonder if he has some insights.
He's got something to him. I can't quit him.
Okay, running back. My draft crush is Quinshon Judkins. 4.4 speed. He runs really physical. My day 3 sleeper at running back is Shunderick Powell, Central Arkansas.
Oh, that is a deep cut.
Deep cut.
I will
take. Show.
Nice. I will take DJ Giddens.
Okay.
And then I will take, late round. I guess I don't know that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is that late, but I'll take Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
He's late. He's going to be late. I love that kid too. All right, wide receiver. My draft crush is Ty Felton. And this is kind of a newer one. I've just started to fall in love with Ty Felton's game, the Maryland receiver. He's fast, but he's tough. And he's angular, but he's quick. I like his game. Ty Felton is my receiver, and my day 3 draft crush sleeper receiver. Dude, go check out Zachary Franklin, who was at University of Texas at San Antonio, transferred this year to Illinois. He played opposite, I guess, that Pat Bryant, who the other guy said was a sleeper or a diamond in the rough.
Nice.
Franklin reminds me a lot of Jawan Jennings. He catches everything. The ball skills are ungodly. He's not that fast, but he is a great, crisp route runner who plucks the ball with his hands and looks really confident in doing what he does, operating in the middle of the field and making a lot of clutch catches, a lot of contested catches. I like Zachary Franklin.
I will take – I have to take Luther Burden. I love that kid. I think he's outstanding. I think he gets more credit doesn't get enough credit as a route runner. And my late round guy, there's a bunch. Andrew Armstrong's a fun name, but I'm going to go LeJontay. I'm going to go LeJontay Wester out of Colorado. He is just an absolute
was his brother played for somebody, or didn't he have a brother who also played?
I have no idea. I watched him in the East-West Shrine Bowl, and he is an absolute router. He is snappy. He's tiny, he's thin, but he can actually separate from some man coverage because he's got some real route craft to him.
My slot receiver draft crush is Tez. I saw him light up Penn State, 11 catches for 181 yards. Nobody could stay with him in Mobile. I love Tez. And my day 3 or sleeper slot receiver, the former USC transfer who went to Tulane this year, Mario Williams, All that guy does is score touchdowns, man. He's small, but he's electric.
Nice.
And guy scored like 12 touchdowns. I mean, he's really
Yeah.
good for Tulane. Tez and Mario Williams. You got a couple
Nice.
slots?
Yeah. I didn't realize we were separating, but let's see early-ish. Let me take Jalen Noel if we're
Okay.
going to do that for
Yeah, that's
slot.
great.
Or, I mean, obviously, Emeka Egbuka is just like probably the safest receiver in this class in the
Yeah,
slot.
very polished.
Like, I don't think he's going to be necessarily a wide receiver one. Although in the modern NFL, you can be a wide receiver one. Like if you're Amon-Ra, right? And there's a lot of that going on. But I think he's just going to be a career studly wide receiver too. And then my other guy, I'll go with Kyle Williams from Wazoo.
A lot of people like him.
He's a snappy route runner. He's a really, really crafty guy for day 3.
Tight end, my blue chip crush is Tyler Warren. How could you not? To me, he's just amazing. And my day 3 guy is either Jalen Conyers or Rivaldo Fairweather. I think Fairweather is the guy that doesn't get drafted. I think Conyers is the guy that probably goes in round 5. I like them both.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same too, but I would say it's wild, but I have Jalen Conyers as a round 3 guy. I genuinely think he's that good. I know there's a lack of production, there's a limited tape. He is outstanding to me. I don't love this tight end class at all, but if I was going to go maybe a day 3 guy, I guess I'll go Benjamin Urosek, who's just he's sort of like a Charlie Warner, where he's athletic, he's a pretty good blocker, he doesn't have a lot of production with the ball in his hands, but he moves pretty well.
I'll give you one more name since we're just kind of throwing out names here. Anthony Torres. I interviewed him this morning. He's the Toledo tight end. This guy had an injury to his back in high school. So because of it, he's been in college for 7 years. And he's 25. He's going to be 26 coming up in October. And yet he had a great year this year. He's 6'6", 250. He can block. He can catch. He's an academic All-American. He's a married guy with a child. I mean, he's older. He's more mature. I really like him, though. I think he's going to be a really good day 3 sleeper, Anthony Torres from Toledo. Toledo's put out some pretty decent players, and he's one of them.
Yep.
Offensive tackle, my blue chip crush is Armand Membu. I just see Membu's tape. He's just awesome. And as far as my day 3 guy, I like Carson Vinson from the HBCU program, Alabama A&M. This guy just is 6'7", 315 pounds. The level of competition is going to require him to take about a year to adjust. But, man, that guy is going to be a starting NFL lineman for 8-9 years, and he loves to just maul and destroy. So give me Carson Vinson.
Dieter loves him too. I think I love Membu as well. I think if Membu's there, the 49ers might be malpractice not to take him, depending on the board, just because he can probably play guard for you right away and move to tackle. My number 1, I still think he's the best tackle in this class, Josh Simmons. I know there's
really
knee injuries. The rumblings of the character concerns seem weak to me. That seems like some psyop stuff where the Chiefs are interested and they want him to fall, some sort of garbage. I think he is just the most naturally gifted offensive tackle in this class. The way he moves in space is outrageous, head and shoulders above anybody else. Late round, let's say Chase Lunt, the guy out of UConn, just a great mover in space. I don't really like his anchor, so
I don't either, but I think he's going to go higher. I think there's a chance he might go in the 3rd round because tackles go so fast. But those are good names. Guard, I'm going Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, who played left tackle this year once Simmons went out. By the way, Simmons is a San Diego State transfer, and he could have been a top 5 pick if he had just stayed healthy this year, but he didn't stay healthy. And they moved Jackson from guard to left tackle, and they won the national championship. He's got super long arms. He's tough. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's proven it at a big-time level. I like Donovan Jackson. I think he's a really solid 2nd-round pick. And then I told you I like Willie Lampkin as my day 3 guard. I really like him more as a fullback. I'm confident he's going to be the one thing. You can't be as dominant a wrestler as this guy was and not make it in the NFL. He's going to play for somebody at some spot. I'd make him my fullback and say goodbye to Juice, but I could definitely draft him and see if Jake Brendel can hold him off. But I think he's a center, but I think he's a fullback. So I'm going Willie Lampkin. Who's your guards?
Guards, I don't know that Booker's the right fit. I'll go with Tate Ratledge. I wasn't super wowed by the tape, but he is an awesome athlete. He's got a little edge to him. I just think he's a pretty safe pick, in the first 2 days, the size, the athleticism producing there. And then late round, I'll go Clay Webb, who, man, that guy fires off the ball. When you talk about how the 49ers want their guards to pull, Clay Webb does it exactly how they like it.
That's a good one. Center, Jared Wilson from Georgia, to me, is the blue chipper. He's probably a second round, third round guy.
Yep.
And the guy that I like on day 3, I love Marcus Ware, the Montana State right tackle, who looked just so damn good in the lead up to one of those all-star games. He just, he locks out the arms. He's got tremendous base. He's got a really, really strong, really strong upper body. He knows what he's doing. I just thought he looked so good in the one-on-ones against guys that on paper should have absolutely used and abused him. And instead he beat them almost all week. So I'm going to take Marcus Ware, Montana State.
Yeah, I can't go with anybody other than Jared Wilson. I think he's head and shoulders above everybody else in this class at center. There's some other guys that interest me, but I can't go with anybody else. My day 3 guy would be, where is he here? Drew Kendall out of Boston College. I think this guy's a stud. I think he is being wildly underappreciated. You watch him in the Shrine Bowl, and he's playing next to this guy from Boston College, his right guard. His right guard's getting worked, and he is just anchoring down. Looks awesome in pass protection, can move, is an athlete. I think he's outstanding.
Second generation offensive lineman. His dad, Pete Kendall, was a Pro Bowl offensive lineman in the 80s. All right, that's a good one. Edge rusher. We jump to defense. To me, the best edge rusher is Donovan Ezeraku. I mean, from Boston College. He's 6'2", but he plays like a 6'5" guy because of the arm length. The 3-cone, all the workout numbers are off the charts. The production's off the charts. This guy just he doesn't give you a big target. He's not a power player, and I think he's going to get. Probably might be a little bit of a specialist because he's going to get engulfed against the run a little bit from time to time. But, man, if you put him on a good football team in the second half with the lead and you just say, go hunt the quarterback, this guy is nearly impossible to block. And the speed, the power, the strength, the ability to twist and turn, I think Ezeraku's monster. And as far as my day 3 edge, there's a few guys out there, but I kind of like BJ Green. He's kind of a short powerhouse guy. He's 6 feet, 260. So he's thick and short, but man, he's explosive off the edge. He played for Dion this year, and I just love BJ Green. I think you could actually flex him inside and use him as a tackle from time to time in certain alignments, but I really think BJ Green is going to be a guy who makes NFL roster and put some heat on the quarterback as maybe an undrafted guy, maybe a 7th round guy.
Nice. My top guy is Mykel Williams. I think people misunderstand Mykel Williams because there's a lack of production. While he, by the way, was playing on basically 1 foot with a brutally sprained ankle. The way he powers through offensive line, you watch him against Texas, man. He is domineering. He's like a T-Rex. He's destroying people. I think he's got more craft. Kenny, you're wrong. Mykel is outstanding. He was playing hurt. When you talk about some of these guys where you have concerns, part of it is they don't have power. He has power, and it's not like Shamar Stewart where this is all he can do, right? He can deliver. Like he can swipe. He's got strong hands. And listen, like Kenny, sure, you might be right. I think Mykel will drive you into the ground, At minimum, he is going to set the edge better than any other edge rusher in this class. That is a high floor player. The athletic traits are off the charts. Teams had to have a plan for him while he's playing at like 4i. Like teams are doubling him while he's not even playing a proper edge rusher. He's basically playing defensive tackle. So I love Mykel Williams. I think people misunderstand him. He's an outrageously good edge setter from day one. He's going to get healthier. He's going to learn more of his craft. The traits are unmatched. I think he's an outstanding player, and he created a lot of openings for his teammates. So I like him a lot. I'm not sure I'm totally sold on a day 3 guy yet. I would say Baron Sorrell, but I don't think he's day 3. I like him a lot. I think he's super physical. And he's got a decent variety of moves, and he's just got power at the point of attack. So I'm going to say Baron Sorrell, even though I think he's like a 3rd round, at worst 4th round pick.
Steve-O Supremo. Will Purdy sign or Krug read the supers first? Let's just get through this. Let's get through this, and then we will get to the supers. I promise. Though, okay, there we go. All right. So now we are at the one technique. Okay. And I'm going Kenneth Grant. I talked him up before, and you know why I like him. And as far as late round day 3 knows, give me Nash Hutmacher from Nebraska. Big Nash is a wrestling phenomena as well. He's a bear. His nickname's the Polar Bear. He's just a gigantic, immovable guy inside. He wears number 0. He's a 0 technique kind of a guy. He's right there. To me, he's Nash Hutmacher, Nebraska.
Okay. If you're talking about
Desmond Watson from Florida, I could go with him too.
If we're talking about nose tackles, right?
Right.
Who do you like? I'll start with Tyleik Williams. I'm not sold on him. Some people think he's a 1st rounder. I don't think he is. It took me time to be sold on him. I think part of it is Ohio State, the way he used him in terms of his pass rushing is a little funky. He's looping around and doing some other stuff. So I think it's in there, but at minimum, he's got massive size, strength, and can discard people and reads the run really well. So I'll say him for a nose tackle. And then if you want to give me a late round nose tackle, where's my guy out of Notre Dame?
Which one? Riley Mills?
Yeah, let's go with Riley Mills as my late rounder.
Yeah, he's good. All right, so we jump from that to the defensive tackle 3 technique. I'm going Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Yeah. And I like the other Notre Dame guy here. I like Howard Cross III, whose daddy played for the Giants at tight end. This is the son. He's smaller, or he's shorter. He's heavier. He's 6'1", 290. But I love the motor on Howard Cross III. I love how hard he plays. To me, he's a one-gap penetrator, kind of like a Kevin Givens or a Kalia Davis, but with a better motor and I think just a better overall player.
Yeah, I'm not in love with him, but I do see the explosion as a day 3 guy. Like he makes some plays. If I was going to go, I'll leave you with Walter Nolan. I'm going to take my guy because this is my favorite player in the entire draft class. It is Vernon Broughton out of Texas. I could not be more convicted of this player. He is huge. He is way too light on his feet for a guy that is as large as he is. He can hold up against double teams and disengage. He's a problem in the run game. You watched him against Ohio State. He was a monster. Like, he produced in the biggest moments, and he's just got a variety. He's got strength. He's got an anchor. He's got every single thing I want in a defensive tackle. And if they were to draft him in round 2, I'd be like, great. Like, he's going to work out. That's how convicted I am of Vernon Broughton. My late round guy. What was that?
You like him quite a bit. And I've heard a couple other people that really like him.
Yeah, I fully believe in him. If I was going to go late round guy, there's some other players. There's a ton in the class. I think I'd go Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. I liked him really. I liked him better than I think was it Shamar Turner. I kind of liked him more than Shamar Turner.
Tonka's, only thing is I think Tonka's more of that 5 technique, interior rusher, but whatever. I mean, it's all the same. It can all be the same.
He's got an interesting skill set. He's kind of bouncy. You worry a little bit about his anchor and can end up sideways.
He's a rotational player. He's a rotational pass rusher.
Yeah,
but he's a good
I agree.
One. He's a very good one. As far as the 5 technique or the defensive tackle who's a pass rusher, I like Aeneas Peebles a lot.
Oh, yeah.
300 pounds. He can't block him. He's liquid. He twists and turns. And I like Elijah Williams from the HBCU program, Morgan State. Saw him in the HBCU All-Star game. He's 6'3", he's 295. He played defensive end at Morgan State. And, obviously it's a defensive tackle size playing defensive end, but this guy can play all over the formation, man. He can just rush from wherever. He's a really good, underrated rusher, Elijah Williams, Morgan State.
Yeah, if we're talking about 5 technique, I love Aeneas Peebles. I think he's sort of in that mold. I guess I'll take Jordan Birch out of Oregon because he's sort of, in that guy where he's sort of a 3 technique and can kind of play outside. He's probably more suited to play at 3 than outside, but 3-5, that's sort of his range of, I think, where he'd play. And then, you know what? Give me Ashton Galat, because Ashton Galat is a guy that I think some people are.
I think it's Gelati.
Gelati? Gelati's funnier, so let's call him Gelati.
He's a 275-pound, as you said, 5 technique, but he could be an edge rusher.
He's a meatball.
He's got a great motor, man. He's got an incredible motor.
Yeah. So he's my late 5 tech.
I like that one. Linebacker, I'm going Jalen Walker from Georgia. I think Jalen Walker is the total package. I love his game in every facet. I know there are people that say he's not pure as a tackler just because he hasn't played linebacker a whole lot. But this guy is just unbelievable. I think he's one of the best defensive players I've seen come out of Georgia in a long time. Love him. And my day 3 linebackers would either be Eugene Asante from Auburn, or I like Chandler Martin from Memphis. They're both undersized, 6 feet, 220, 225, but just hyperactive guys who live to tackle and hunt running backs and make tons of tackles. And I think those are the linebackers of the future. The Eugene Asante, Chandler Martin, Nick Martin, David Benda. There's a bunch of them in this particular draft class. We're under Carson Bruner. Linebackers who have to be covered, but if you can cover them and let them run around, they can make so many plays. And I love those guys, Walker, Asante, and Martin.
Yeah, linebacker is tricky, right? Because everybody raves about Jihad Campbell, but folks, I see it. Like, he flies off the ball. Jihad Campbell gets destroyed at the second level way too often for my liking by offensive linemen who are climbing. I just see him struggle so often to get off blocks. And I'm like, I don't understand why. And with what the 49ers struggled with last year, I can't bet on that. And I can bet on him being a good player, like a coverage player. He can learn. But if I'm the 49ers, at 11, I can't possibly make that investment. I would go like Demetrius Knight. He's a little, I don't know about the coverage ability. I'll say Carson Schwezinger just because I think he is the modern linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
The coverage ability is outstanding. He can cover every part of the field. He can get downhill. He can tackle. Late round, I would either go with Teddy Buchanan or the guy I mentioned earlier. I'll go with Kane Medrano, the other UCLA linebacker, who I think was also all over the field. So I like him.
Yeah, special team guy, and he can fly.
Yeah.
Safety-wise, I like the Georgia guys. I like Malachi Starks. I'm not worried about the workout numbers. Safety workout numbers don't matter to me. It's like how you play. Go watch the film. Go find out who the best players are by watching the film. If you can't watch the film and find out the best players at safety, you're not going to find them in the All-Star circuit. You're not going to find them at the combine. You're not going to find them at, you have to find them in the game. Because that's where their greatness shows, and that's where their flaws show.
A tough position to evaluate.
And it's just like anything else. It's like, do you need great speed? Yeah, but you need great instincts more. Because if you have, I'll take a guy who runs 4.5, but is flowing in the right direction at all times, and a guy who runs 4.3, but is running himself out of the play, constantly, and you have all these broken plays. I mean, do you guys remember Tarvarius Moore? Tarvarius Moore was 6'2", ran 4.32, but had so little instincts as a safety that I saw Juju Smith-Schuster in a game against the Steelers catch a ball like this should have been a 15-yard gain, and he went to the end zone because Tarvarius
he had no feel for the position.
No feel for angles. at all.
No.
So I'm going to say Malachi Starks is the safety that I like in day 1 or day 2. I like Dan Jackson, the other Georgia safety. He ran 4.4. He looked good in the All-Star game. He played well from scrimmage. He doesn't try to do too much. He's a better athlete than you think. He knows how to play. He knows where he's supposed to be, and he's there. He's very physical against the run, and he's got enough speed to stand in as a coverage player. He's more of a zone player than a man player, but Dan Jackson on day 3, I think, might be very attractive to John Lynch.
I have to take Dan Jackson as well. He's my late round safety. He's awesome. Like he flies off the tape and covers ground really well. I think I'm going to go with Sebastian Castro out of Iowa.
Yeah.
As my mid early safety. He's like a wild mongoose. The upside's huge. There's questions about whether he's a true deep safety or just like a mini Sam like Hufanga. But I actually really like his coverage ability where Hufanga struggled. I think he can cover tight ends. I think he can play against slots. He's physical. Had an awesome interception that he just read super well and sank back in coverage against Ohio State. I like him quite a bit.
Corner-wise, I like Jedi Barron from Texas. I just think that, Thorpe Award winner, great player, very cocky. I see a lot of Brian Branch there. I really like Barron. And I like James Burgess, the jumbo corner from Alabama State. Another HBCU team, really, really big corner with a lot of talent. Like him a lot. And my nickel corner is Jacob Parrish from K-State. He's small, but he's tough. And he's, 4.3 speed, but he's super tough. And my day 3 nickel corner, I like the way Florida State coaches it up. Give me Fentrell Cypress the second. 6 feet. In Tallahassee the other day, he ran 4.43. He had a 38-inch vertical. Pretty good football player. And as I said, I like the way Florida State coaches him up in the secondary. So give me Fentrell Cypress, Jacob Parrish, Jedi Barron, James Burgess. Who do you got on the corners?
Trey Amos is my favorite corner in this class. I just am so convicted of him. I'd be shocked if he does not pan out. He's my number 1 out of Ole Miss. I have him as my number 2 corner on the board behind, obviously Travis Hunter. Number 2, I would say if I was going to go with, a late round corner, there's a lot of interesting names. Some guys I'm less sold on. I don't even really want to say it, but I'm going to go with Zoff Frazier. Like he's a guy with supreme length. Listen.
There's a lot of people that like him. It's funny. Trey Goodman from UTEP told me today that Zoff Frazier is one of the best corners he went against all year.
He's got a lot of length. There's a lot to like. I think he's going to get attacked in the run game unless he adds weight. He cannot tackle. But I think he's a developmental corner who's really intriguing. I'm not sure I have a backup. Maybe if I was going to say my backup nickel, I'll say Jalen Smith out of USC. I'm not totally sold, but a late day 3 guy. I think he's got some short area movement abilities, really agile, skinny, sort of undersized. I made like a demo comp. So he'd be my late nickel. And then I have to also take Jacob Parrish. I think he's awesome, as my early nickel.
Okay, last one before we get out of here tonight. And I really appreciate you stopping by, Jake Hutchinson, with us, sitting in for Dieter tonight. We're having a good live stream and talking about a number of different things. Kyle Shanahan weighed in this week at the NFL owners meeting, and he was asked about Mac Jones. And it's the first time he's talked about Mac Jones since the Niners added him. And he said, I've had a small relation. The way he said this is just hilarious. What is a small relationship? I had a small relationship with him since the 2021 draft. It's kind of funny to put out all that time into him in the draft and to wait years later, having him on our team and everything. We're excited to get to work with him. On what he liked about him, Kyle said, I just loved how he played the position, especially in college. He got the ball to the right spots, didn't take sacks, would hang in there and get hit, but distribute the ball to his playmakers. I've seen him do it at the NFL at a high level, and we're excited to get him working in our offense. There's so much here that we could talk about. But I guess the first question I would have for you is, do you believe that Mac Jones was Kyle's guy in 21 and that somehow, I don't know, somebody internally convinced Kyle that it was better to go with Trey Lance? Or do you, I mean, it's like Kyle himself has said Lance was my guy, but Kyle also is smart enough to know that he has to be your guy. You're the offensive head coach, and you're the guy who makes all the money. The buck stops with you. So if it's not you, you look terrible. So you have to say it's your guy. So Kyle said Trey was his guy and then owned it completely when it didn't work out. But now that we have time to review, and now that Mac Jones is here, what's your best guess on this?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like Mac Jones initially was the guy. That just was the process, right? They traded up and their process was innately flawed. Like that's part of the reason this whole thing. And granted, I cut them some slack because everybody lost their mind in COVID. They're like, life doesn't matter. We're going to trade all of our picks and we're going to just figure it out. So their process of trading up and going, well, worst case, we're going to pick Mac Jones and we're going to evaluate all these other guys. I still think it should have been Justin Fields, even though he hasn't really worked out. There's a lot of flaws in his game, but at least he's an explosive athlete producing at Ohio State with some arm talent. He's got problems, right? I mean, listen, all those quarterbacks flamed out. But, yeah, I do think it was Mac because he saw a processor that can put the ball where he wants. And they were so sick of Jimmy G that they're like, if we can just get a young guy who's at least doing what
on
Jimmy
a rookie
can.
Contract.
Right. On a rookie contract who can put the ball where I want it, who I can have conversations with. I think they saw Mac and said, he's a guy that can process the game. So, yeah, I think he liked Mac. And then as they evaluated, they said, all right, here's a guy who we've had great conversations with, Trey Lance, who we think can get it, who, like Trey Lance, great dude you can talk to. And I think probably did get it. He just didn't have the traits. And you saw it in training camp where he started running outside and everyone goes, oh no, he's slow. Like he's not a scrambler. He's not fast like we thought he was. He can run vertically, but anything horizontally towards the pylon, towards the sideline, it's not fast enough. So I think they settled on Mac and they said, all right, we're going to see if someone's better than Mac. That was their process. And then they decided.
Bronson says there was a story from PFT that Trey Lance was Kyle's guy and mentioned him to Lynch when he was vacationing in Mexico. Supposedly,
I don't disagree.
He wanted to design plays for Trey when he was coming home from the Fields workout, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do wonder because look at the way Schefter reported it. Look the way that Michael Lombardi reported it with total conviction. Oh, Brock, or Mac Jones was Kyle's guy. Okay, so now he's here. What's he going to do? How's this going to? Is he never going to play? Is he going to? Is he going to get in there? And when he gets in there, is he going to play well? Is he not going to play well? He said all the right things about Brock. Oh yeah, I hosted him on his Alabama visit. He made it sound like they were old friends. If you're old friends, you're not coming here, right? You're not coming here if you're old friends. The guy's about to sign a contract, and what you're going to sit there and maybe undercut him. Just your presence alone. I mean, if you're really good friends, you're not coming here. So they're not really good friends. I love the Jones pickup because I think he represents is competition. And Brock Purdy needs competition.
I'm with you. And I think I think people have a mistaken view of him. Because the problem with Mac is not that he was a horrendous quarterback prospect. It's that he was a total misuse of resources if you were to spend everything and trade up and take him at number 3 overall, because he's got no athletic ability and he's just sort of a dink and dunk quarterback who had a good vision and could process and could do what you asked him to do, right? That was the thing. But like Mac, as a cheap backup for 2 years, as a young guy who you can have adult conversations with, how is that not a good pickup? So I'm not really worried about the dynamic. I think it's a good situation for all parties involved. Maybe if it makes Brock sweat a little bit, that's not a great sign because it's Mac Jones. So I can't see how that's a bad situation for anybody.
I just think it's good to have competition. It's good to have competition. The other disturbing moment so far of the offseason was what the Niners keep talking up their center. Now, there are people, it's like stats lie and liars use statistics. I can come up with a bunch of stats too that say anything I wanted them to say. Literally. You tell me what you want me to what argument you want to make, and I'll go find a stat that backs that up. The Niners said this week, we like our center. And then people are pointing to stats. Okay, well, I got a stat too that I'm going to show. Since we're going to just sit here and play this stat game. Well, Jake's this and Jake's that. Let me share the screen and show you a fucking stat. Okay, here's a stat. Okay, this is 2024 true pass set grades. All right. The 49ers had the second worst grade at the center position last year. Second worst grade. And if you see, their tackles got a 71. Their guards got a 55. Their center got
Dominic Pooney for balancing it out.
Yeah, their center got a 40. 40. And that's pretty bad. I think there was only one worse grade than that in the entire league.
The reality is, like, the thing about Jake Brendel
the average
is
72, supposedly. Or was he? Yeah, I'm not sure about that, actually.
Jake Brendel is a mediocre, cheap center who gets out and does well in the run game. But you watch him the pass game, and listen, like, I think he improved as the season went because the start of the season was outrageously bad, where it was like, do we need to bench him? Like, do we need to find a different center? That's how bad it was. But no, he has the knees. The knees felt like there was some wear and tear, like they went, and he did not perform well. Luckily for him, if he wants to be optimistic, Aaron Banks was worse than him all season long and got paid 4 years, $77 million, playing terrible football. So, if Jake Brendel wants to be optimistic, he can keep doing that, and he'll get paid in a year or two again.
Rishi Jagtop says, Larry, quit acting like you didn't see him on the field. Who's he talking about? Brendel?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. Okay. So anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for us. Oh, I know I was going to ask you. There was a rumor on NFL Rumors about the Niners, Cardinals, and Raiders all potentially being in the mix for free agent corner Asante Samuel Jr. Jed said the other day when he was asked, about, he's like, people think we're not going to spend any money. He's like, we could still make trades, make signings. And it's like, we're trying to pursue all these things. I don't know what they're trying to pursue, but that I would say, if there was one free agent out there that they could sign that would help them, I think Asante Samuel might be that guy.
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Their process this year has been to sign no one, and if he's over a compensatory pick price, I would highly doubt that they're going to make a move on him.
Yeah.
That's just how they've operated this offseason.
No, it's true. They have not moved forward. They've basically said, hey, we're going to do it all in the draft. All right, here we go. We said we'd hit the supers. We'll hit the supers. We got 4 of them here. Weber C4. What do you think of his teammate Debo Williams? He's talking about Demetrius Knight. Debo Williams is a linebacker from South Carolina. He's a smaller linebacker, but he hits like a truck. I love Debo Williams as like an undrafted free agent. I don't think he's going to get drafted, but that guy can run and hit. He plays with an angry disposition. One of the biggest hitting linebackers in all of college football, Debo Williams. Yeah, I like him a lot. Is that Danky Kang? He says, who have the Niners met with in these top 30 visits. They've met with a lot.
I don't have them all off.
I don't have the
know they
list
met
in
with
front of me.
Conyers
Harold
and, yeah.
Fannin, Conyers, a bunch of guys. Boxing fan ×4. Thoughts on Jacob Parrish and Kobe Bryant? Parrish is at K-State. Bryant's at Kansas.
Yeah.
Bryant is a string bean, but he's tough.
He's tough
and sinewy. He reminds me a little bit of the other Kansas guy who went to New England. Who was the corner?
I can't remember him off the top of my head.
Remember that guy? He was a great corner for New England, and he was from the University of Kansas, and he just talked all kinds of S. But he was long and nasty. Anyway, Kobe Bryant is that same guy.
Yeah.
He's skinny, but he's long. He talks tons of trash.
And he tackles well for his size.
He's got
he's
swagger.
Mean.
Who is that corner? Remember that corner for the during the Brady era?
Are you
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking
Somebody's
about.
got to get that. Somebody's got to get that. Who's guys? Who
he was getting in fights all the time?
Yes, who was the New England corner who played at Kansas, who got in fights all the time? And he was terrific. He was a terrific player, but eventually they had to get rid of him. Gosh, somebody's got to remember that. Anybody? See if anybody. I'll check back in a second here. But Jacob Parrish is great. He ran 4.36. He's one of the most really physically strong corner, and yet he ran 4.36. I think Jacob Parrish is one of the safest picks in the whole draft. He's a really good corner with great speed. He doesn't have big size, but he hits like a truck. He's very solid as far as he breaks down in space athletically. He doesn't get juked. I like him a lot. I like Jacob Parrish a lot. And Kobe Bryant, I think I like him a lot too. I like both those guys. I in some ways, I love the swagger of Kobe Bryant. And that's kind of what I like in my corners.
Me too.
And that New England corner, I just can't remember his name. But if anybody can, please.
Yeah, Aqib Talib. Was it Aqib Talib?
Aqib Talib.
Yeah, that's who I thought it was. I had his name. I had his face. He's doing broadcasts with I feel like Mina Kimes, and it's pretty good.
Is he?
In the preseason. In the preseason, he usually does.
He ran a little hot. He ran a little hot. And this guy was a personal foul waiting to happen. But he was a hell of a player. Jackson says, should the Niners take a bite out of the apple with a true number one like Tyreek and solve their wide receiver room questions? Well, I mean, he's gettable. But, I mean, isn't that kind of fly in the face of younger, faster, cheaper?
Yeah,
he's faster.
I don't see that happening. I think this is a year. If
Ayuk?
you're going to make any move like that, it's at the trade deadline. You got to get proof that this team can do anything before you do something like that. I think that's how they'll approach it. And they're stuck with Ayuk. So I think they'll say, let's see if he's got anything in the second half of the year and the year after that.
Last question on the way out the door. We're 2 hours in. Will the Niners make trades on draft day? And if so, what do you see? I mean, I definitely could see them trading back as far as picks, but I could definitely see them making a few trades. Because why? Because you do have a lot of draft capital. There are a lot of players available. You do want to be competitive next year. I don't know that you can have 13 rookies, but if you trade back, get extra picks, wind up with 15 picks, and trade 3 picks for 3 individuals, I'll give you 3 names that I really like. Bryce Huff, not a fit in Philly, would be a fit with Robert Saleh opposite Nick Bosa. Probably could be had for a day 3 pick. Like him, he makes sense to me. Michael Mayer. I like the tight ends in this draft, but I like Michael Mayer a little bit more. And I would trade a 3rd or 4th round pick, maybe not a 3rd, but a 4th round pick, maybe a conditional pick next year as well, to get Michael Mayer. And then the 3rd name, and I know a lot of people would say, oh my God, you can't do this, but Niners need, if the Niners really are serious about contending for a Super Bowl this year, they need a real receiver. They cannot go with what they got, and I don't even think they can go in the draft and go with what they got there. I think they got to trade for a young veteran And to me, the two names that I saw this week that I would be interested in both, because both these teams are in cap problems and need to move, and they're going to be available supposedly in the draft, are Chris Olave and Jordan Addison. And, if I could have Jordan Addison, you only got him for a couple of years, and then he's on the 5th-year option. Then you got to decide if you want to pay him, and it's complicated. I get it. But if you really want to contend and you're doing a cleansing, if you could pick the right receiver, I think the veteran in a trade might be the better route for them than the rookie, even if you get a good rookie, just because rookie receivers historically really don't do much. What do you think? Could you see them making trades? Are there any veterans out there that you are eyeing?
I don't think they're going to trade for a vet. The way they've operated this season doesn't give me the belief that they're going to do that. I do think I could see them trading down a few picks. I personally would, depending on who's there, I'd trade down to like where the Bengals are and steal their second, which is pick 49. That's just like the right amount to trade down and get it. I do think a little bit of a trade down. I could see them trading up from 75 or from 100, something like that, where they have a little extra capital to work with, and they try and move up a little bit to go get one of their guys in a weird draft where you might not want to wait.
Jake, awesome stuff. Thanks to Clawdaddy Arcades. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Jake, tell people if they want to follow you and follow what you and Dieter have cooking with your podcast. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, so Dieter and I have been working on a draft guide that I'm putting together. Follow us at Dieter and Hutch, our YouTube. And April 14th, if you subscribe as an official sicko, it's like $4.99 a month. You will get our draft guide. I don't have an exact number on how many players, but it will be north of 150, all different positions. It's the official Sickos draft guide. I've been working on it for weeks and months now, losing my mind a little bit. Either way, subscribe and like over there and give us some attention. It's appreciated. And go get the draft guide. It'll be out April 14th, and maybe it's going to break me. It might break me, but it will get done.
Thanks to Jake. Thanks to all of you. Follow Jake. Give him a like and a subscribe over on his channel. Like and subscribe right here as well. Go to the store and buy some stuff from the Krug Show store. We got a lot of cool gear and some new stuff. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. streaming with Damon Bruce. We'll talk a little Niners tomorrow morning. Chase Sr. will be by tomorrow at 10:45. I'm going to be doing a couple more college football interviews tomorrow afternoon. I'll be putting those out on the channel. And then tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Niners Nightly. And the great Raj Melwani is going to stop by as our guest. We're looking forward to that tomorrow. So have a great night. For Jake, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.
Yeah, never met a man I've been